The United States of America, land of the free. All people living here, regardless of gender, race, or religion, deserve to know that they are safe. That is why the Homeland Security should be the most important issue Congress should address in 2014. What is a country if its people are not safe? The general response of the American people is that action must be taken. Too often in the past has the nation's security been breached, be it through war, acts of terror, or recently even data breaches.
I think that the full body scanners are, in one way, an invasion of privacy, but the means justifies the ends, because when you think about another thing happening like 9/11, I think everyone would agree that their privacy can be invaded for 5 seconds. I think that full body scanners are a good idea because it prevents the possibility of another attack happening, and it keeps people from bringing on weapons that can harm others or harm even people outside of the plane. I think that if there was a second entrance into the cockpit that you can only get into when you're on the ground, that the hijackers could not have gotten into the cockpit to use the plane as sort of a missile to go into the trade centers.
You explained that the very reason that we created the intelligence community was foreign intelligence collection. Our policymakers have got a variety of things on their plate. They've got the Iran nuclear program, they've got counterterrorism issues all over the world, and they need to be able to make better decisions on behalf of the United States. They need to be able to advise the president. And so when they look at a hard question, like what is Iran going to do with their nuclear program, they turn to the intelligence community for help. And they say to the intelligence community, here's what I need to know. Here are your requirements. Please find for me what a particular foreign leader's intentions are in negotiations with Iran, or please give me warning of an imminent terrorist attack. And that's really what the American people have demanded of their leaders, especially since post 9/11, and especially since the analytic failures associated with Iraq WMD. They want better performance from their intelligence community so that we can keep them safe. Well, you have to think of what the intelligence community's job is. They're responding to policymakers who help define what's in the national interest. So if a policymaker says the national interest is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, for example, they're going to want to know, all right, what's the strategy to do that? In this case, it's to try and sanction Iran so that they come to the negotiating table and give up or at least curtail their nuclear enrichment capabilities. And so you can see where a policymaker would say, all right, we've sanctioned Iran as much as we can as a country, the United States. We need our allies to similarly sanction Iran. And so the question would come in, well, where is Germany on a particular sanctions idea? Where is France, or where are a variety of other EU countries? And so you can see why this would come up in a requirements process, in a discussion on how to achieve a foreign policy objective.
Down then to the idea of listening in on a personal cell phone call. Does that go too far?
Well, look, the White House has got, our political leaders have got to make and apply a balancing test. They have to weigh the foreign intelligence gain from such a sensitive access, like you're saying, a particular intercept of a foreign leader's phone call. They've got to balance the gain they would get from having that insight with the foreign policy flap that would result if, like in this case, it was disclosed. And so you have to apply that balancing test. I think, judging from the newspapers, that's what the White House is doing this week. They're reviewing the posture of the intelligence community on a lot of these collection priorities, and they're going to make the balancing test. They're going to apply this test to see what makes sense for the country.
Are you happy with the job that the government has done in providing security for Americans?
I am. When I talk about airport security, it's kind of an inconvenience, I know, for people, but to me it's worth it to keep people safe, so I'm very happy with that.
What are some things you've noticed that the U.S. government has implemented in order to provide security for Americans?
Well, I've traveled recently, so the first thing that comes to my mind is airport security. So I think of like the scanners that you have to walk through, all the metal detectors, the x-ray machines where they look through your stuff.
The country's passiveness has led to many breachings of security, such as the terrorist attacks on 9/11 and the recent Boston bombing. With advancement in technology and weaponry, we cannot sit back and give these terrorists the opportunity to make an attack on this nation. We need to take even more precautionary actions than we already are. This is an issue that will continue to get worse if it is not acted on.